Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video, I'm going to share with you one of my challenges from the crop for my little scrapbook store. This is going to be the deep dive challenge, and I wanted to go and try and do the reverse. So the one layout I did on white background and then did everything with the blacks, and on this one we're going to do white mixed media on top of black foundation paper. Now this paste is the light and fluffy. I gotta get some more of this because it has kind of dried out, but I'm still able to get some of it out. And what I liked about this stencil was that it was like it's like a woven, what is it, like a rope or whatever, and it made me just think of family, right? So I knew I wanted to have that on part of the background. Part of this is going to be covered up, so that's why I just kind of picked it up with my spatula and then put whatever paste back into um, the actual jar. But then I was like, you know what? Instead of going to the bottom like I did on the other one, I'm going to go up to the top and create a little area, a little cluster area more towards the top end of the layout. So we're just going to lay that there and put a little bit of this down. So I like using paste and uh, gels, paste, textured paste, whatever paste on my layouts. And on this particular one, it doesn't take long for it to dry because, like I said, the paste itself, because it's not a fresh jar, it's a little bit already dry, so it doesn't take long for it to adhere to the paper. But we're gonna put that to the side, and we're gonna clean the stencil and our palette knife real quick and get that off to the side. So I hope you guys enjoyed the crop that we did. I had a lot of fun. It took me the whole entire time to get the layouts done. I think I finally finished my last one Sunday evening, like at like 11 p.m. at night, and then I just posted all my photos to the designer team album. But oh, this is like the third time I've been able to do them all, and there's something that just feels so good when I'm able to complete them, and I'm proud because I actually posted them as well. So it's like twofold on this one. But now that we got that cleaned up, I'm going to go ahead and put that back into its packaging. And then we can set that in the jar to the side. And I do recommend, if you open up your paste and stuff like that, to grab some press and seal to help keep it from drying out on you. Okay, so I already have some scrap pieces, and so I just wanted to grab another piece of paper, full sheet, that we can use to create our background with. So I'm looking at what we have, and I was thinking, okay, so I want to create sort of like an element right inside like the center of the page. So I'm going to start by creating mats for the photos. So there's, at first I only had the two photos, but my one photo wound up getting a mark on it. So real quick, I'm pulling up my Project Life app. I'm just showing you real quick. I'm going in, finding the photos that I created, and I'm sending them to the printer in black and white. And while that's printing, we're going to be cutting our papers. So instead of only having two photos, I wind up having three. And so because I have the three, I was like, you know what? Let's do sort of like a mini grid. So we're going to create background paper using this particular pattern. I cut it at 4 inches, and then I cut it at 3, and I wind up getting 4 pieces because it was 12 by 12. Well, 12 by 12. It was like 6 by 12 or whatever. So I just cut it at the 4, and then I was able to get the 4 pieces out. And then on this sheet, I'm going to cut off the branding strip, and then I think I wind up cutting it at 6 inches. A lot of times when I'm using just partial or part of the papers, I'll cut it at 6 so that way you have a half and half, and then trim down to whatever size I need. And at first I was thinking, like, what am I gonna do with the with that one right there? But I think I wind up do I wind up not using that? I don't think I wind up using that at all. So right here, I'm trying to like figure out, okay, so you're going to do a little grid. How are we going to do it? Do we do the 3 photos? And then I'm like, what if I turned it horizontal and just did like here and just do the 4? And then on that one could be where I put my journaling. Okay, so things are starting to kind of like come together. So I'm like, well, let me pull this over and see how I'm going to like that. Well, I love it. So you see some of the rope on the left side peeking out, and then you have the rope up at the top. So that the thing with mixed media, you do wind up covering up some of it, but I like how that turned out. So my next thought was, what I need to do is, one, grab the photos. I grabbed some elements from the die cuts, the what's that called? The laser cuts and stuff like that. And then I decided to create sort of like a flap for my journaling. So on the deep dive, we had to do 3 paragraphs worth of journaling. And I was thinking to myself, okay, first of all, this is black paper. I don't want to have to try and get my white gel pen working so that way I can write on it. I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, I have this grid and I want to create this area, and I had the 4 pieces of paper. So what if instead of doing obviously photos, I cut down a piece of white paper for the 4th one, and that's where I'll put the journaling. But 3 paragraphs isn't going to fit in that little piece of card that I had. So I decided to grab another piece, create like a flap, and I drew lines on the areas where I wanted to notate. And to me, the front, the back, and the other page equals 3 paragraphs. So that's what we're going to do today. So right now I'm gluing up at the top right one of the laser cuts. It's leaves, and then it's like the mini laser cuts had a stamp and like a frame. So I did that up at the top, and eventually I'll put some more stuff up there. And then now we're going to attach our photos to their mats and start to like lay these out. And I'm using my ATG with the wet glue because that gives me a little bit of time to make sure I get it completely lined up. If it doesn't line up, then I can pull it apart and try again. And this moment is one of my favorites. It's one of the last moments that my mom and dad had before she got really sick again and then passed away. We were leaving the hospital for the evening, and she was puckering her lips at him, and I was like, oh, Dad, I was like, give mommy a kiss. And he pulled down his mask and they had a kiss, and I was like, oh. It's one of my favorite moments. I'm like, they were so loving to each other. All right, so this is the flap, and I just used washi tape to create the flap, and I already did my journaling. So you can see there's 3 different pages, the front, back, and then the bottom piece. And I felt like with that could count as my 3 paragraphs, only because I'm not a big writer. So what I have there is that's as 3 paragraphs as it's gonna get. Okay. Now you could type it, you could print it on Photoshop, and you could do all kinds of stuff with it. The thing is just making sure that you incorporate the challenge, you know what I mean? So that was my version of how to deal with the 3 paragraphs of journaling. So I'm mimicking what I did up in the upper right hand corner on this bottom corner. And then I'm adding these little, they almost look like little gears or buttons. I had taken three of those out and I put them in three different areas. And then once I lay my top photos down, I'm going to start laying down the laser cuts up at the top as well. And I don't know why, but oh, I do know why. At this point in my videoing, I was running out of glue. And I, of course, didn't think to check it before I started the video to be like, oh, maybe I should, I don't know, refill it. So I wind up doing it afterwards, of course. But yeah, I wasn't thinking. Okay. So now we're just adding these small little sentiments. I got these off of the mini laser cuts, but one says this moment, special moment. The other one says make each day matter. And then I did put a little bit too much glue on the one. That's why I was wiping it off. It was just slipping and sliding. And then I just have my little stamping pad on top of it to put some weight down to make sure it lays and everything lays flat and the glue adheres. And then we're going to start adding, like I said, the laser cuts. And on this one, I didn't put anything over on the edge. I could have, but it doesn't bother me. I know it seems like they're coming out of nowhere, but it didn't bother me that it wasn't like covered with like an element or something like that. And then I also already put down the butterflies. And then did I put the bow down? Oh no, I got one more butterfly there to put down. And then, oh, I'm going to put a butterfly up at the top here. Now, there where I'm putting that butterfly is where I'm going to put the date for this. And I'm just going to write that in. On the little tabs, I don't use a stamper usually. A lot of times I just write it in. Okay, so now I'm looking for my thickers, okay? Because I had found, like, I have a container that I keep all of my film strips and alpha thickers and then like random phrase thickers that I that I pull from basically to put for sentiments. So I grabbed that, and then in the meanwhile I also found this flare, so I'm going to wind up taking the foam off the back. You could use it, you just have to add glue, but I got as much off as I could, added my glue, and then pressed down. So the canvas ones you use wet glue, and then the epoxy ones of the flares you have to use like a foam square or glue dots, stuff like that. So okay, so the one that I found, it's so funny. It wound up having kiss me as one of the phrases. And then it also had XOXO. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to use the XOXO too. So this is me taking the XOXO off. And I'm putting them off to the side. And then I'm going to grab and glue them down over here on the left. So you have XOXO. And then the kiss me is going to go on the bottom right. And what I like is, even though it's not like a starch, like a bright white, it's in that gray, in the gray kind of family. It's like a light gray. It looks almost white in the photo, like in the camera. But in person, it actually has more gray tones. But I love how it turns out, and it fit perfectly right there in the bottom right. And then the only other thing I really think it needs is going to be what? Splatters! So after we get the last me on, I believe this is where I'm going to cover up the photos and we're going to do splatters. And on this one, I'm just going to do the white splatters. You could do like a gray. I don't think we have shadow in the spritz, but if we had shadow in the spritz, or if he did, I'm just saying, picket fence in the spritz, that would be so cool. But instead, I just used the distress stain in the picket fence, and that's perfect. And I love how it turned out. You know, it's just another way. I love black and white challenges. I love just using all black and white photo papers. And that charcoal collection from 49 and Market is like chef's kiss. The perfect collection for it, because it gives you whites, it gives you black and gray. It's just it's yeah, it's probably one of my faves. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please consider hitting that like, subscribe button. And if you have any comments or questions or anything that you want to, just leave it down below. And I will definitely try and make sure I respond to everybody. I so appreciate you as a part of this community. And I will look forward to seeing you guys with our next video. Have a great weekend.